The Swan. The swan is said to sing but once in its life, when it knows that it is about to die. A certain man who had heard of the song of the swan one day saw one of the birds for sale in the market, and bought it and took it home with him. A few days later he had some friends to dinner and produced a swan and bade it to sing for their entertainment, but the swan remained silent. In course of time, when it was growing old, it became aware of its approach and broke into a sweet, sad song. When its owner heard it, he said angrily, "If the creature only sings when it's about to die, what a fool I was that day. I wanted to hear its song. I ought to have wrung its neck instead of merely inviting it to sing." The Fowler, the Partridge, and the Cock. One day, as a fowler was sitting down to a scanty supper of herbs and bread, a friend dropped in unexpectedly. The larder was empty, so he went out and caught a tame partridge, which he kept as a decoy, and was about to wring her neck when she cried, "Surely you wouldn't kill me?" "Why, what would you do without me next time you go fowling? How would you get the birds to come to your nets?" He let her go at this and went to his hen house, where he had a plump young cock. When the cock saw what he was after, he too pleaded for his life and said, "If you kill me, how will you know the time of night? And he will wake you up in the morning when it's time to get to work." Fowler, however, replied, "You are useful for telling the time, I know, but for that I can't send my friend supperless to bed." And there wait he caught him and wrung his neck. The Snake and Jupiter. A snake suffered a good deal from being constantly trodden upon by a man and beast, owing partly to the length of his body and partly to being unable to raise himself above the surface of the ground. So he went and complained to Jupiter about the risks to which he was exposed, but Jupiter had little sympathy for him. "I dare say," said he, "if you had bitten the first that trod on you, the others would have taken more trouble to look where they put their feet." The Wolf and his Shadow. A wolf, who was roaming about the plain when the sun was getting low in the sky, was much impressed by the size of his shadow, and said to himself, "I had no idea I was so big. Fancy me being afraid of a lion. Why, I, not he, ought to be king of the beasts, and heedless of danger." He strutted about as if there could be no doubt of it at all. Just then a lion sprang upon him and began to devour him. "Alas," he cried, "had I not lost sight of the fact, I shouldn't have been ruined by my fancies."